The crisp autumn wind whispered through the Manhattan streets as Marcus Reed adjusted his baseball cap lower over his eyes. He stood at the corner of Fifth Avenue, blending effortlessly into the tapestry of New York City's bustling crowd. With deliberate anonymity, he observed the elegant facade of Prestige, the luxury boutique he had built from the ground up. What secrets lie behind those gleaming windows, he wondered, as he watched customers glide in and out their designer shopping, bags swinging rhythmically at their sides. Taking a deep, centering breath, Marcus stepped forward and pushed open the heavy glass door. A melodic chime announced his arrival, and instantly he was enveloped in the intoxicating atmosphere he had meticulously crafted: polished marble floors that reflected the warm lighting, plush velvet seating that invited lingering, and carefully curated displays of high-end fashion and jewelry. The air was infused with notes of rare oud and sandalwood, mingling harmoniously with the soft jazz flowing through hidden speakers. Marcus had designed this space to be a sanctuary of welcome luxury, where opulence embraced comfort. Yet today, dressed in dark jeans, worn sneakers, and a plain black jacket, he felt like an intruder in his own creation, and that was precisely the point. Today, he wasn't Marcus Reed, visionary entrepreneur and CEO of Prestige Luxury Group. Today, he was just another potential customer, testing how his vision truly manifested in reality. As Marcus approached a display case of meticulously crafted timepieces, he noticed Victor Hargrove, the franchise owner of this location, standing near the counter. Victor, a man in his mid-50s with thinning silver hair and a suit that strained slightly at the buttons, was engaged in conversation with a woman draped in designer labels. His practiced smile and deferential posture spoke volumes about how he treated those he deemed worthy. When Victor's gaze shifted to Marcus, that smile evaporated like morning dew under a harsh sun, replaced by a subtle but unmistakable frown of disapproval. Pretending not to notice, Marcus picked up a watch from the display, a sleek platinum piece with a hand-stitched leather strap. He appreciated its perfect weight, the way it seemed to belong on a wrist. "Excuse me," Marcus said, his voice deliberately casual. "Could you tell me more about this watch?" Victor approached, his steps measured and reluctant. His eyes performed a calculated assessment of Marcus, from his casual attire to his baseball cap, and his expression turned guarded, dismissive. "That's one of our limited edition models," Victor replied, his words clipped and perfunctory. "Very exclusive. It might not be what you're looking for." Marcus maintained his smile, though he felt the first spark of irritation ignite within him. "Oh, why is that?" Victor's eyes narrowed slightly, a predator assessing a situation. "It's a very high-end piece, quite expensive. Maybe you'd be interested in something more accessible." The assumption behind Victor's words hung in the air, crystal clear. Marcus decided to push further to see how deep this prejudice ran. "I like high-end pieces," Marcus replied with deliberate calmness. "What makes this one special?" Victor sighed, as if being forced to explain quantum physics to a child. "It's crafted by one of the finest watchmakers in Switzerland. The materials are top tier, and the craftsmanship is unparalleled. It's a collector's item, really, limited to a very small number of pieces worldwide." Marcus nodded thoughtfully, still holding the watch. "Sounds impressive. How much does it cost?" Victor hesitated, his eyes scanning Marcus's face as if searching for signs of financial capability. "It's priced at $122,000, he said finally, with obvious reluctance. "But as I said, we have other options that might be more in line with your budget." Marcus's smile remained fixed, but inside, familiar frustration coursed through him. He placed the watch back in its display case with gentle precision. "And if I wanted to buy this one?" he asked, his eyes locked on Victor's. Victor's expression flickered with annoyance. "Well, I'd need to see proof of payment first. We don't just let anyone walk out with our best pieces." Though his expression remained unchanged, Marcus felt his patience wearing dangerously thin. "I see. So it's store policy to question a customer's ability to pay before making a sale?" Victor's tone turned defensive, his posture stiffening. "It's not about questioning. It's about ensuring the integrity of our brand and maintaining our image. We can't just let anyone handle our merchandise." Marcus held Victor's gaze for a moment longer, then looked away, nodding slightly. "I understand," he said softly. Turning away from the display case, Marcus started walking toward the door. He could feel Victor's eyes boring into his back, could almost hear the man's satisfied thoughts as he silently congratulated himself on protecting his precious store from an unworthy visitor. As Marcus pushed open the door and stepped back into the cool embrace of the city, his mind was already processing what had just happened. He had come to observe, to witness the reality of his stores without the influence of his position, and now he had. But what he had seen left a bitter taste in his mouth. Anger simmered beneath his composed exterior as he stood on the sidewalk, seamlessly reintegrating into the river of passers-by. Marcus knew with absolute certainty that this visit would not be the end, not by a long shot. Marcus Reed stood outside the store for a moment, gathering his thoughts. The anger inside him had transformed into something more focused, more purposeful. Taking another deep breath, he turned back toward the glass door and walked inside again, determined to discover whether Victor's behavior was an anomaly or a disturbing pattern. The chime sang out once more as he stepped into the store. This time, Marcus didn't bother with subtlety. He headed straight for the section where Victor Hargrove had been standing. The franchise owner was checking his phone, but when he spotted Marcus approaching, his eyes narrowed, confirming what Marcus already suspected. The earlier condescension hadn't been an accident. Marcus approached a display of designer coats, running his fingers along the exquisite fabric of a dark, elegantly cut piece, perfect for the encroaching winter. "Excuse me," Marcus said, his voice measured and controlled. "Could you tell me more about this coat?" Victor looked up from his phone reluctantly, his eyes flicking from the coat to Marcus's face. He hesitated momentarily, then pocketed his device and walked over, the artificial smile returning to his lips like an ill-fitting mask. "That's one of our premium items," Victor said, his tone still clipped, still condescending. "Italian wool, handcrafted. It's from our latest collection. Very exclusive." Marcus nodded, examining the coat more closely. "It's nice. How much is it?" Victor's smile tightened, becoming a thin line of tolerance. "It's priced at $2,500, he said, enunciating each word as if speaking to someone with limited comprehension. "These are meant for our high-end customers. We don't usually keep this kind of merchandise out for just anyone to touch." Marcus raised an eyebrow but kept his tone neutral. "I see. So you keep some items out of reach of your regular customers?" Victor's face hardened, the polite facade slipping to reveal the ugliness beneath. "Our regular customers know what they can afford and what they can't," he said curtly. "We cater to a specific clientele here, people who appreciate quality and have the means to purchase it." Marcus placed the coat back on its hanger with deliberate care, taking his time. The frustration was rising again, a tide threatening to break through his carefully constructed dam of calm. "I appreciate quality," he said evenly, "and I think I might be interested in this coat." Victor's eyes flickered with a toxic blend of irritation and disbelief. He took a step closer, lowering his voice as if trying to keep their conversation private. "Look," Victor said, a heavy layer of condescension infusing his tone. "I don't mean to offend, but perhaps you should look at some of our more affordable options. There's no point wasting time on items that are out of your range." Marcus's patience was wearing dangerously thin now. He met Victor's gaze, his voice firm but controlled. "You don't know what my range is, and assuming you do based on how I look is not good business practice." Victor's expression tightened further, his jaw clenching visibly. He looked Marcus up and down again, clearly reassessing but coming to the same flawed conclusion. "We have an image to maintain," Victor said, slowly, as if explaining complex mathematics to a struggling student. "We can't just have anyone come in and handle our most valuable items. It's about preserving the brand." Marcus held Victor's gaze, his anger now unmistakable in his eyes. "Preserving the brand?" he echoed. "By judging people based on their appearance?" "That's not how you build loyalty or respect." Victor crossed his arms, his posture stiffening defensively. "Our customers appreciate exclusivity. They don't want to see just anyone in here touching everything. It's about the experience, the environment. It's what sets us apart." Marcus released a slow, controlled breath, his eyes never leaving Victor's. "And you think treating potential customers with disrespect is part of that experience?" Victor shrugged, a smug look crossing his face. "I think I know my customers better than you do. It's my job to protect the integrity of the store." Marcus didn't respond immediately. He looked around the store, taking in the displays, the carefully arranged merchandise, the other customers who were beginning to notice the tension between them. Then he turned back to Victor. "Thank you for your time," Marcus said finally, his voice cool and controlled. "I think I've seen everything I need to see." Without waiting for a response, Marcus turned on his heel and walked away, heading for the door. The chime rang softly as he stepped outside, back into the cool embrace of the city air. This time, Marcus didn't linger on the sidewalk. He walked briskly down the street, his mind racing with purpose. What he had experienced was unacceptable, not just as a businessman, but as a person who believed in treating others with dignity and respect. He had come to witness the reality of his store's operations, and now he had. Marcus's jaw clenched as he thought about Victor's condescending tone, his dismissive attitude. This wasn't just about a coat or a watch, it was about the core values Marcus had built his company upon, values that were clearly being trampled in this store. As Marcus walked, his anger began to crystallize into determination. He knew exactly what needed to be done. Today, he had been treated as just another customer, judged by his appearance, dismissed without a second thought. Tomorrow he would return, not as Marcus Reed the customer, but as Marcus Reed the owner. And things were going to change. Dramatically. Marcus spent the night replaying the interactions in his mind, each dismissive word from Victor sharpening his resolve. By morning, his frustration had transformed into a crystal-clear plan. He would return to the store and probe deeper. If Victor treated the owner of the company with such disdain, how did he treat others? Marcus was determined to find out. Dressed, again in his casual attire, jeans, sneakers, and the same black jacket, Marcus walked back into the luxury store. The chime above the door heralded his arrival into a quieter space than the day before, with fewer customers browsing the opulent offerings. Marcus headed directly to the jewelry section, his eyes drawn to a glass case displaying an array of diamond, bracelets, and necklaces. Each piece captured and reflected the soft lighting, price tags discreetly tucked away from casual observation. As he studied a particularly intricate bracelet, Marcus noticed Victor in his peripheral vision. The franchise owner stood near the back of the store, engaged in conversation with a young woman whose face conveyed concern. It was Elena Taylor, the assistant manager, nodding as Victor spoke, her hands nervously fidgeting with a clipboard. Marcus strained to catch fragments of their exchange. "I don't care if he's a potential customer," Victor's voice was low but firm, carrying across the quiet space. "We have a standard to maintain. Keep an eye on him." Elena glanced in Marcus's direction, her expression a conflicted mixture of worry and sympathy. Their eyes met briefly before she looked away, discomfort evident in her posture. Marcus pretended not to notice, continuing his examination of the jewelry. Now he knew with certainty that Victor was instructing his staff to be wary of him. The realization solidified Marcus's decision to confront the man again, But first, he wanted to see how far Victor's prejudices extended. Marcus selected a diamond necklace, motioning for a sales associate to assist him. A young woman approached, her expression polite but reserved, tension visible in her shoulders. "Good morning," Marcus said with a warm smile designed to put her at ease. "Could you tell me more about this necklace?" The sales associate glanced over her shoulder at Victor, who was now watching them intently. She hesitated, then looked back at Marcus, conflict evident in her eyes. "This is one of our signature pieces," she said quietly, as if afraid of being overheard. "It's crafted with the finest diamonds and set in platinum. It's priced at $15,000. Marcus nodded appreciatively, sensing her discomfort. "It's beautiful," he said. "Could I take a closer look?" Before the associate could respond, Victor materialized beside them, his expression stern, radiating disapproval. "Is there a problem here?" Victor asked, directing his question to the associate rather than to Marcus, deliberately excluding him from the conversation. "No problem," Marcus said calmly, stepping in before the young woman could be intimidated further. "I was just asking about this necklace. I'd like to inspect it further." Victor's eyes flashed with irritation. A predator whose territory had been invaded. "I don't think that's necessary," he said, his voice thick with condescension. "As I mentioned before, we have other pieces that might be more suitable for you." Marcus kept his gaze steady, refusing to be dismissed or diminished. "I'm interested in this one," he said firmly. "I'd like to see how it looks." Victor crossed his arms, his patience visibly evaporating. "Our policy is to reserve pieces like this for customers who are serious about purchasing. I can't have just anyone trying out our most valuable items." Marcus's calm demeanor cracked slightly, his frustration surfacing like magma through thin crust. "And what makes you think I'm not serious?" Victor looked Marcus up and down, his sneer unmistakable, dripping with arrogance. "Experience," Victor said coldly. "I know who can afford what. It's my job to protect the integrity of this store and its brand. We have a reputation to uphold." Marcus felt his temper rising, but maintained his composure. "And you uphold that reputation by judging people based on how they look, by refusing service to someone because you think they don't belong?" Victor's expression remained unchanged, carved from stone. "It's not personal, it's business. Our customers expect a certain level of exclusivity. I can't afford to waste time on people who aren't serious buyers." Marcus took a step closer, lowering his voice to ensure only Victor would hear. "And how many serious buyers have you turned away because you made assumptions? How many people have you disrespected because you decided they didn't fit your idea of a customer?" Victor's jaw tightened, muscles working beneath the skin. "I run this store the way I see fit," he said sharply. "And frankly, I don't have to explain myself to you." Marcus held Victor's gaze, anger simmering beneath his calm exterior. "You may not have to explain yourself to me," Marcus said quietly, the soft tone carrying more weight than any shout. "But you will have to answer to someone. This kind of treatment isn't just bad for business, it's wrong." Victor's eyes flickered with uncertainty for a moment, before his expression hardened again. The fortress walls rebuilt. "If you don't like how things are done here, you're welcome to leave," he said dismissively. "There are plenty of other stores that might suit your tastes." Marcus took a deep breath, stepping back to create distance between them. He glanced at Elena, who was watching the exchange with a worried expression, caught in the crossfire. "Thank you for your time," Marcus said to Victor, his voice cold and final. "I'll be sure to let the right people know how you run your store." With that, Marcus turned on his heel and walked out of the store. The door's chime seemed to echo louder than before, punctuating his exit as he stepped back onto the bustling street. Marcus knew precisely what needed to happen next. He had seen enough to understand that Victor's behavior wasn't an isolated incident. It was a mindset, a toxic philosophy that had infected the store's culture. As Marcus walked away, his resolve crystallized into certainty. He had hoped for a different outcome, but now he was convinced the change wasn't just necessary. It was imperative, and it would begin at the top. Marcus spent the night meticulously preparing for what needed to be done. The following morning, he didn't return to the luxury store. Instead, he headed straight to Prestige's headquarters, PA's sleek glass and steel building rising majestically in midtown Manhattan. Inside, the atmosphere hummed with quiet efficiency, phones ringing softly, employees moving purposefully through the corridors, the subtle scent of success in the air. Marcus walked with confident strides into the executive conference room, a spacious arena with a long, polished mahogany table and floor-to-ceiling windows framing spectacular views of the city he loved. He took his seat at the head of the table, his expression calm but resolute, a general preparing for battle. Marcus had arranged for Victor Hargrove to meet him here under the pretense of discussing store performance and future expansion strategies. He knew this approach would ensure Victor's attendance. The man's ambition would override any hesitation. Marcus's assistant, Diana, stood by the door, awaiting Victor's arrival with professional composure. Soon the distinctive sound of confident footsteps approached, and Victor entered the room, an aura of self-importance wrapped around him like an expensive cloak. He wore his sharpest suit, and his face carried a blend of curiosity and mild annoyance. Clearly, believing he'd been summoned for another routine evaluation, perhaps even to receive accolades for his work. Victor's steps faltered when he saw Marcus sitting at the head of the table. His eyes widened in surprise, and he glanced at Diana, then back at Marcus, struggling to reconcile the casually dressed customer with the impeccably tailored executive before him. Confusion flashed across his face like lightning. Marcus remained silent, allowing Victor to absorb the scene and all its implications. Then he spoke, his voice calm and authoritative, like a judge delivering a verdict. "Take a seat, Victor," Marcus said, gesturing to a chair across the table. Victor hesitated momentarily before pulling out the chair and lowering himself into it, uncertainty replacing his usual confidence. "Good morning, Mr. Reed," Victor said cautiously, his voice modulated with newfound respect. "I wasn't expecting to see you here. Is everything all right?" Marcus leaned forward slightly, his gaze unwavering and penetrating. "No, Victor, everything is not all right. I've come to discuss some serious concerns about your behavior at the store." Victor's eyes flickered with confusion, then with an attempt to reclaim his usual self-assurance. "Concerns about what?" "I've been running the store the way I always have. Sales are up, and the brand image is strong. If there's a problem, I'd be happy to address it." Marcus's expression remained unchanged, a granite facade revealing nothing. "Sales numbers aren't the issue here, Victor. The issue is how you treat people. I visited your store yesterday. You didn't recognize me because I came as a regular customer, dressed casually." Realization dawned on Victor's face, quickly followed by a flash of panic. His mouth opened, then closed, words failing him as the implications of what had happened crashed over him like a tidal wave. Marcus continued before Victor could formulate a response, his voice calm but charged with purpose. "I witnessed firsthand how you judge people based on their appearance. You made assumptions. You were dismissive. You refused to provide the same level of service you would offer someone you deemed worthy. This isn't just about how you treated me, Victor. It's about how you likely treat others, anyone who doesn't fit your narrow view of who deserves respect." Victor swallowed hard, his face draining of color. "Mr. Reed, I didn't know it was you. If I had known—" Marcus cut him off, the blade of his words sharp and precise. "That's exactly the problem. You shouldn't have to know who someone is to treat them with basic human decency. This company stands for inclusivity and respect. We built our brand on the idea that luxury is not just about exclusivity, but about making people feel valued. You've turned my store into the opposite of what it's meant to be." Victor shifted uncomfortably in his seat, perspiration beading on his forehead. "I was just trying to maintain the brand's image, to keep it exclusive and high-end. Our customers expect a certain atmosphere, a certain clientele." Marcus's voice hardened, steel beneath velvet. "Our customers expect quality products and respectful service, regardless of what they look like or how they dress. They deserve to feel welcome, not judged. Your behavior undermines everything this brand is supposed to represent." Victor's face transformed into a mask of desperation, his career flashing before his eyes. "Mr. Reed, please, I can change. I understand now. I'll do better. I'll implement training, whatever you need." Marcus shook his head slowly, his decision already cast. In stone. "It's too late for that, Victor. Your attitude isn't something that can be fixed with training. It's a fundamental problem with how you see people, and it's not something I can allow to continue. Effective immediately, I'm terminating your franchise." "Agreement. You're no longer responsible for that store." Victor's eyes widened in shock, disbelief etched into every feature. "You can't be serious. I've been with this company for years. I've helped build that store's reputation. You can't just cut me off like this." Marcus stood up, his gaze never wavering from Victor's. "Yes, I can, and I will. Your behavior reflects on the entire company, and I won't let one person's prejudices tarnish what we've built. Security will escort you out. You'll receive instructions on the termination process and what happens next." Victor scrambled to his feet as well, his face contorting with a volatile mixture of anger and disbelief. "You're making a huge mistake. I'm the best manager this company has. You'll regret this." Marcus remained immovable, his voice steady as bedrock. "No, Victor. The mistake was allowing you to stay in a position where you could harm the company's values. I won't regret ensuring that my stores are run by people who understand what this brand truly stands for." Victor stared at Marcus for a long, tense moment, then turned abruptly and stormed out of the room, his footsteps echoing down the hallway like thunder. Marcus watched him leave, feeling a sense of resolution settle over him. This wasn't merely about firing Victor. It was about protecting the soul of his company, ensuring that every customer felt valued and respected, regardless of appearance or status. Marcus turned to Diana, who had observed the entire exchange in professional silence. "Make sure Victor is escorted out and that the transition process begins immediately," Marcus instructed. Diana nodded efficiently. "Yes, Mr. Reed, I'll handle it." Marcus walked to the window, gazing out over the vibrant tapestry of the city. He had taken a necessary step today. There would be more work ahead, more changes to ensure that every store bearing his brand upheld the values he believed in. But for now, Marcus felt a profound sense of calm. The message was crystal clear. Respect and integrity would always come. First, always. Marcus Reed stood at the panoramic windows of his office, watching the ceaseless rhythm of New York City unfold below. The meeting with Victor had gone as expected, but the sense of finality hadn't brought satisfaction. Marcus knew that firing Victor was necessary, but recognized it as just one piece of a larger puzzle. As he turned away from the window, his phone vibrated with an incoming message. Elena Taylor, the assistant manager from the store, had agreed to meet him at headquarters to discuss the future of the location. Marcus made his way down the corridor to the conference room where Elena waited. When he entered, Elena rose quickly, nervousness evident in her posture. Her brown hair was neatly styled in a professional bun, and she wore a simple yet elegant blouse and skirt. Her eyes reflected a mixture of anxiety and cautious hope. Marcus offered her a genuine, reassuring smile. "Thank you for coming, Elena," he said, gesturing for her to sit. "I know it's been a challenging couple of days." Elena nodded, her hands clasping and unclasping in her lap, betraying her tension. "Yes, Mr. Reed, it has. I heard about what happened with Victor. The staff is talking. They're worried about what's going to happen to the store." Marcus sat across from her, his presence calming rather than intimidating. "I understand. That's why I wanted to talk with you. Victor's departure was necessary for the health of the company, but I realize it leaves uncertainty in its wake. I want to ensure the store is in capable hands moving forward. Elena nodded, her expression serious, professional, despite her evident anxiety. I appreciate that, Mr. Reed. I've always tried to do my best at the store, but it's been challenging. Victor had his way of doing things, and it didn't always align with what I believed was right. Marcus watched her carefully, noting her diplomatic phrasing. I observed how you conducted yourself in the store, Elena. You maintained your professionalism, even when the situation grew tense. That's why I'd like to offer you the position of interim manager. You know the staff, you understand the store's operations, and I believe you grasp what this brand truly represents. Elena's eyes widened, surprise and relief washing over her face in visible waves. Interim manager, she repeated, as if saying the words aloud might make them disappear. Mr. Reed, I don't know what to say. I never expected this opportunity. Marcus smiled warmly. Say you'll accept the position, and that you'll help me ensure the store embodies the values we believe in. I need someone I can trust to lead, someone who won't repeat Victor's mistakes. Elena's hands trembled slightly as she nodded, excitement replacing her earlier apprehension. Yes, Mr. Reed, I'll do it. I'll do whatever it takes to make the store what it should be. I've always believed in treating every customer with respect, regardless of appearance or circumstance. Marcus's expression softened, satisfaction evident in his eyes. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. You'll have my complete support, and we'll collaborate to implement the necessary changes. I want you to feel empowered to address any issues, to ensure that every customer feels welcomed and valued. Elena visibly relaxed, relief and determination replacing her anxiety. Thank you, Mr. Reed. I've always cared deeply about the store and the people who work there. I just never felt I had the authority to make meaningful changes. Marcus nodded, understanding. You do now. I'll ensure you have all the resources you need. We'll begin with comprehensive retraining for all staff, focusing on inclusive customer service. I want every person who walks through those doors to feel they belong, whether they're purchasing a $10,000 watch or simply browsing our collections. Elena's confidence seemed to grow with each moment, her posture straightening as she embraced her new role. I can accomplish that. The staff will respond positively. They simply need to know their efforts are supported and that they're contributing to a positive environment. Marcus leaned back, satisfaction radiating from him. Excellent. I'll check in regularly, but I trust your judgment. We're in this together, Elena. The success of the store isn't measured solely by profits. It's about building a community founded on respect and inclusivity. Elena smiled, the tension that had been evident in her shoulders, now completely gone. I won't disappoint you, Mr. Reed. I'll ensure the store represents the finest aspects of your brand. Marcus stood, extending his hand in a gesture of partnership. I know you will. Thank you for stepping forward. I'm eager to witness the positive transformation you'll bring. Elena shook his hand firmly, newfound purpose shining in her eyes. Thank you, Mr. Reed. I'm looking forward to making a meaningful difference. As Elena left the conference room, Marcus felt renewed optimism surge through him. The events of the past few days had been challenging, but they had catalyzed necessary change. He knew more work lay ahead, more stores to visit, more managers to meet, but today marked a significant step in the right direction. Marcus returned to his office, gazing once more over the city's sprawling landscape. He thought about the countless individuals who passed through his store's doors daily, each carrying their own story, their own hopes and aspirations. He had built his brand on the belief that everyone deserved to be treated with dignity, regardless of who they were. Today he had taken decisive action to ensure that belief was honored and upheld. As the sun painted the skyline with golden hues, Marcus felt a quiet sense of pride. He wasn't merely a businessman. He was a leader with the responsibility to create positive impact. With people like Elena now in position, he knew his stores would continue to thrive, not just as temples of luxury, but as spaces where every person felt genuinely welcome. The day after Victor's termination, Marcus moved swiftly to implement changes at the store. He scheduled a comprehensive meeting with the entire staff to outline the new direction and reassure them that despite the abrupt management change, their positions remained secure and valued. Marcus understood that stability and transparent communication would be essential in transforming the store into a space that genuinely embodied the brand's values of inclusivity and respect. The meeting took place in an intimate yet elegant conference room at company headquarters. The staff filed in, their expressions a complex mixture of curiosity and apprehension. Helena Taylor stood confidently beside Marcus, clipboard in hand, already radiating more assurance than she had displayed the previous day. Marcus rose to address the assembled team, his presence commanding yet reassuring. "Thank you all for coming," he began, his voice calm and measured. "I recognize the past few days have been turbulent, and I want to be completely transparent about recent developments. Victor Hargrove is no longer with the company. His departure was necessary to realign our store's operations with the core values that define our brand." A murmur rippled through the room. Marcus could read the questions in their eyes, the uncertainty about what these changes meant for their future. He continued, maintaining eye contact with as many team members as possible, creating individual connections. "I want to emphasize that your positions are absolutely secure. We value each of you and the contributions you make. However," he paused meaningfully, "we will be implementing changes to ensure our store provides a genuinely welcoming environment for all customers, regardless of appearance, background, or circumstance. This isn't merely about generating sales, it's about fostering authentic relationships and treating every person who enters our space with the dignity they deserve." Elena stepped forward, her voice steady and confident. "As your new interim manager, I'll be guiding our team through these changes. We'll focus on enhanced customer service training, and I'll work individually with each of you to ensure clarity around expectations. This isn't about assigning blame. It's about growing together and elevating how we engage with our customers." A young sales associate named James raised his hand, his expression curious but wary. "What exactly will this training involve, and how long will it continue?" Marcus nodded to Elena, who answered with newfound authority. "The training will be comprehensive, covering everything from initial customer greetings to navigating sensitive situations. We'll incorporate workshops on cultural awareness and inclusivity. Our goal is to empower everyone to deliver exceptional service consistently. We'll begin with focused sessions over the next few weeks, with ongoing development throughout the year." James nodded, appearing satisfied with the explanation. Another employee, an experienced woman named Catherine, spoke up. "If we observe behavior that contradicts these values, what's the proper protocol? Should we report directly to Elena?" Marcus interjected, seizing the opportunity to reinforce accountability. "Yes, you can bring concerns to Elena, and my door is always open as well. We take these matters seriously, and I want everyone to feel supported in speaking up when necessary. We're establishing a culture of accountability and mutual respect, which begins with each of us." The staff nodded collectively, and Marcus sensed a subtle shift in the room's energy. The initial tension was dissolving, gradually replaced by cautious optimism. They weren't merely hearing about changes, they were being actively included in the transformation process. This participatory approach was crucial for building genuine trust. "Are there any other questions?" Marcus asked, scanning the attentive faces. A young woman named Olivia, who worked at the register, raised her hand tentatively. "What if customers display the same attitudes that Victor demonstrated? How should we handle difficult situations? Where customers are being disrespectful or discriminatory?" Elena answered with confidence, That's an excellent question, Olivia. Our training will include conflict resolution and de-escalation techniques. If you ever feel uncomfortable, or if a customer behaves inappropriately, don't hesitate to involve a manager. We want you to feel empowered to handle situations professionally. But remember, you're never alone in this. Marcus nodded in agreement, reinforcing the message. Remember, we're a unified team. We'll work together to ensure everyone feels respected, both our staff and our customers. The staff visibly relaxed, reassured by the clear strategy and support being offered. Marcus felt his own tension easing. He recognized that these changes wouldn't transform the culture overnight, but they represented a meaningful beginning. The store needed to become a space where everyone felt genuinely welcomed and valued, which required commitment from every individual involved. "Thank you all for your time," Marcus said, concluding the meeting with genuine appreciation. "I have complete confidence in each of you, and I believe together we can make this store the perfect embodiment of our brand's values. Let's work collaboratively to bring this vision to life." As the staff began to disperse, some approached Elena with specific questions, while others returned to their responsibilities with renewed purpose. Marcus observed the interactions, feeling cautiously optimistic. His decision to promote Elena had already proven wise. She was demonstrating leadership qualities that Victor had sorely lacked, and her connection with the team was evident. When the room had emptied, Marcus turned to Elena, offering sincere praise. "You handled that beautifully. The staff clearly respects you and looks to you for guidance. Maintain this momentum." Elena smiled, appearing both relieved and determined. "Thank you, Mr. Reed. I won't disappoint you. I truly believe we can create meaningful change here." Marcus nodded with conviction. "I know you will succeed. I'll check in regularly, but I trust your judgment. If you need anything at all, don't hesitate to reach out." Elena agreed, and Marcus departed the conference room, his mind already formulating next steps. There were other locations to assess, additional managers to meet. The situation with Victor's had served as a crucial wake-up call, a reminder that even the most carefully crafted intentions could be undermined by prejudice and poor leadership. As Marcus walked through the headquarters corridors, he felt renewed purpose infusing his steps. The confrontation with Victor had been challenging, but necessary. Justice wasn't simply about addressing wrongdoing, it meant creating an environment where such behavior became unthinkable. Marcus was committed to building a company where respect, inclusivity, and integrity weren't merely aspirational phrases. In a mission statement, but lived principles guiding every decision, every action, and every customer interaction. He understood the challenges ahead, but faced them with confidence. With the support of leaders like Elena, Marcus believed they could create lasting, meaningful impact. The store began showing remarkable signs of transformation within weeks. The atmosphere felt noticeably lighter, the staff more engaged and genuinely welcoming. Marcus's decision to appoint Elena as interim manager had proven inspired. She had organized the training sessions with remarkable efficiency, and the team responded enthusiastically, eager to create a more inclusive and respectful environment. Marcus had kept his promise to check in regularly. Today, he decided to make an unannounced visit to observe the progress firsthand. As he entered the store, the familiar chime above the door announced his arrival. Immediately, James, the sales associate, who had raised questions during the staff meeting, approached with a warm, authentic smile. "Good morning, Mr. Reed," James said, extending his hand in welcome. "It's wonderful to see you." "Good morning, James," Marcus replied, returning the handshake. "How are things progressing?" James nodded enthusiastically, genuine excitement evident in his expression. "Remarkably well, actually. The training sessions have been incredibly valuable, and Elena has been exceptional. The entire team feels more connected, and we've developed a shared understanding of how we want our customers to experience our store." Marcus smiled, satisfaction warming him from within. That's precisely what I hope to hear. Continue your excellent work. I'm genuinely proud of how everyone has embraced this transition. As Marcus moved deeper into the store, he noticed customers being greeted with sincere warmth. Staff members assisted everyone without hesitation or judgment, creating an atmosphere of authentic inclusivity. The contrast with his first visit under Victor's management was stark and profoundly encouraging. Marcus made his way to the rear of the store, where Elena was engaged with a customer. She glanced up, noticed Marcus, and politely excused herself. "Mr. Reed, it's wonderful to see you," Elena said, her expression bright with confidence. "Likewise, Elena," Marcus responded warmly. "I wanted to observe how things were progressing. From what I've seen, you've accomplished remarkable changes in a short time." Elena's face illuminated with well-deserved pride. "Thank you, Mr. Reed. The team has been extraordinary. They've truly embraced our new approach, and we're receiving increasingly positive feedback from customers. I believe we're moving in exactly the right direction." Marcus nodded his agreement. "I concur completely. You've transformed this space quickly and effectively. I'll continue supporting you however necessary." Their conversation was interrupted by the door chime's distinctive sound. Marcus turned to see Victor Hargrove standing at the entrance. Victor's appearance had deteriorated noticeably. His suit lacked its usual crispness, his face etched with worry and fatigue. His eyes scanned the store, eventually landing on Marcus and Elena. Victor approached them, his steps heavier than before, his formerly confident posture diminished. "Mr. Reed," Victor began, his voice nearly pleading, "I realize I'm probably the last person you wish to see, but I need to speak with you. Please, grant me just a moment." Marcus maintained an impassive expression. He glanced at Elena, who appeared surprised but maintained her composure, then returned his attention to Victor. "Very well, Victor, you have a moment. What do you wish to discuss?" Victor drew a deep breath, his shoulders sagging visibly. "I came to apologize," he said, the words seeming to cost him considerable effort. "I know I was wrong. I've had time to reflect on my behavior, and I now recognize I made terrible mistakes. I judged people unfairly and allowed my prejudices to influence my professional judgment." "I'm truly sorry, Mr. Reed." Marcus listened without interrupting, his expression revealing nothing. Victor's eyes were pleading, his voice thick with desperation. "I've dedicated years to this company," Victor continued, words tumbling out faster. "Now, I care deeply about the brand, about the store. Please give me another opportunity to prove I can change, that I can manage the store according to your vision. I'll do anything necessary." Marcus remained silent momentarily, allowing Victor's words to hang in the air between them. He considered the countless instances when Victor had likely dismissed customers based solely on appearance, the way he had treated Marcus himself during those revealing visits. Victor's apparent change of heart seemed more driven by desperation than genuine remorse. "I appreciate your apology, Victor," Marcus finally replied, his voice calm yet resolute. "However, this situation extends beyond a single mistake. It reflects a pattern of behavior, a mindset you've demonstrated consistently over years. What I witnessed in this store wasn't merely an oversight, it stemmed from deeply ingrained attitudes, fundamentally misaligned with our values." Victor's expression crumbled, his eyes reflecting a mixture of frustration and despair. "Please, Mr. Reed," he implored, "I can learn and evolve. Just return the store to me, and I'll demonstrate my commitment to change." Marcus shook his head slowly, his decision unwavering. "The decision is final, Victor. The store is flourishing under Elena's leadership, and the staff has responded positively to our new direction. I cannot revert to previous practices. My responsibility extends to the company as a whole and to every customer who enters our stores. Allowing your return would undermine everything we've worked to achieve." Victor's shoulders slumped completely, his final hope visibly evaporating. He looked at Marcus, resignation replacing desperate determination. "I understand," he said quietly. almost to himself. "I just thought perhaps—" Marcus's tone softened slightly, though his resolve remained firm. "I hope you'll use this as an opportunity for genuine reflection and growth, Victor. This isn't about punishment. It's about ensuring the right individuals are positioned to uphold our brand's values. I wish you success in your future endeavors, but you won't be returning to this store." Victor nodded, his gaze downcast, defeat evident in every line of his body. "Thank you for your time, Mr. Reed," he said quietly. Without another word, Victor turned and walked out of the store, his footsteps heavy with finality. Marcus watched him depart, feeling a complex mixture of compassion and conviction. Victor's apology had come too late. The damage had been inflicted, and Marcus couldn't risk compromising his brand's integrity for the sake of offering Victor another chance. His primary responsibility lay with his company, his employees, and his customers. Elena stood quietly beside Marcus, relief evident in her expression. "Thank you for not allowing him to return," she said softly. "I believe the staff would have been deeply concerned if you had." Marcus nodded, his decision firmly grounded in principle. "I based my decision on what best serves the store and the people who work here. You've done exceptional work, Elena. Maintain this momentum. We're creating something special, and I have complete confidence in your leadership abilities." Elena smiled, justified pride illuminating her features. "Thank you, Mr. Reed. I promise I won't disappoint you." Marcus surveyed the store, observing as staff engaged with customers, each interaction positive, welcoming, and authentic. The transformation was tangible and profoundly encouraging. Marcus felt genuine satisfaction, knowing they were moving in the right direction. As he departed, Marcus experienced renewed purpose infusing his steps. The confrontation with Victor had been necessary but difficult. Yet justice wasn't merely about addressing wrongdoing. It meant creating an environment where respect, inclusivity, and dignity flourished naturally. With the right leadership now in place, Marcus felt confident that this vision would continue to thrive, transforming not just this location, but potentially influencing the entire company's culture for the better.